The year is 2000 something. 13-year-old me just finished Twilight Princess and Wind Waker for the first time on the original GameCube. And after completing both of those games, I felt so empty. I needed more Zelda. Seeing that we didn't own a 64, I couldn't really go out and play Majora's Mask or Ocarina. So instead, I turned to my only hope and salvation, my boy, the Wii. I remember seeing an ad for Link's crossbow training somewhere, and if I recall correctly, my reaction to seeing gameplay for the first time was somewhere along the lines of, motion controls? Ugh. But I brushed it aside, seeing that it technically wasn't a real Zelda game, because for whatever reason I always thought that there's no way in hell a main game of the series is going to use motion controls as one of the primary ways of controlling Link. Nintendo would never do that. Nintendo, why you do that? It's 2021. And I still haven't played Skyward Sword, but then out of nowhere, cool. Just off the bat, you just get this feeling like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a good game. The story kicks off with you dreaming about a giant bean. Yes, a giant bean. Look at that. The fucking frihole. After that, you receive a letter from Zelda warning you about the wing ceremony. A ceremony that would determine whether or not you're worthy enough to become a Knight of Skyloft. And with that letter read, your epic journey finally kicks off. And what exactly is the first heroic act you do in the game? You rescue this man's cat. Alright, let me just say this before I forget. This is without a doubt the best Zelda of any game. Like my boss, you actually get to spend some time with her, getting to know what type of person she is. The fact that they made it so you spend most of the time with her in the beginning of the game really does leave a big impact. It also helps that she's so fucking cute. Ah, my heart. Other Zeldas in the series always seemed one-dimensional. Take for example Twilight Princess. The Zelda in that game is just so emotionless. Can't tell whether she's happy, sad, or just dead inside. Tetra, on the other hand, was actually a fucking awesome version of Zelda. She was a badass pirate. Look at that. But then they had to fuck it up. No! And then there's Breath of the Wild.
Let us commence forth.
We'll soon know all we need to know about the guardians of the divine beasts. And should Ganon never show itself again, we'll be...
Motion controls. The reason why I didn't even get the game back during the Wii times. Now, don't get me wrong, motion controls can be very enjoyable. Without a doubt, there's lots of games that benefit with the inclusion of them. But when I think of motion-based games, Zelda is not one of them. But the cool thing about the Switch version is that you can just simply use the joystick for your movements. It does take a while to get used to it, but once you get the basics down, then it's not half bad. Once again, you get sucked right into the story. It established the role of the goddess and how she created the Triforce. Firsthand, you get to witness the creation of the legendary Master Sword. You even get to meet Demise, the predecessor of all evil. During your journey, you traverse many parts of Hyrule, discovering new lands, solving new puzzles, fighting new foes. There's something quite nostalgic about all of this. Sure, while Breath of the Wild made strides with the series by making the world much more open and free, there's still a level of charm that these more focus-based Zelda games have that Breath of the Wild just doesn't. Now, it's not my favorite Zelda game. That title still belongs to my boy TP. And sure, some of the bosses left a weak-ass impression, but even with all of those flaws, I still found it enjoyable. If there's one thing I regret from this whole experience, it would be the fact that I didn't buy this game sooner. And it's not because I missed out on more Zelda when I was younger, but it's because it was cheaper back then. I'm broke.